Hello right bags, it's Jade. Welcome to a Conan Exiles video. Today we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff, including some more new information about the brand new expansion. Is it really called Shattered Shore? I think I've got some evidence to suggest that maybe it's not. And Sorcery. Also, what's going on with Season Pass 3 and a bunch of other kind of speculation stuff too. So it was 4 weeks ago I showed you guys this. I pulled it off of Instagram, Conan Exiles The Shattered Shore. I thought it'd be the name of the next expansion, but I do think I'm wrong. I think this is just a point of interest because I have another one to show you today. Of course, this Thursday sees the launch of the brand new paid mini DLC, The Architects of Argos, which is based on the Argos area, which is kind of Greek and sort of that area, islands, maybe a little bit coastal, lots of armor, lots of build pieces, etc., alongside the Followers update too. That's coming to Xbox, PlayStation and PC. Quick recap for everyone. There is another paid expansion coming. It's going to be a proper expansion. It doesn't look like it's going to be bolted onto the current map. It will be a separate map and it will be paid DLC. I exclusively told you about this before Christmas time last year, when the developers or the CEOs of the company kind of let it slip, and since then it's been confirmed multiple times by the devs, but they've not given any information other than they was expecting it maybe in the second half of the year. But with no proper release date, no actual info about when to expect the new expansion, people are starting to get a little bit angsty. Is it going to be part of a season pass? We don't even know if this Argos Architects is going to be part of the season pass, which is a bit rubbish again that the developers haven't cleared that up by now. With only a few days to go before it releases, I think it's pretty common to say whether or not we're going to get another season pass this year or not. Anywho, let's go to what I really want to show you. Big shout out to Evan Wells. He screenshot and showed me this on Facebook. Now he reckons he's seen a few different names. So this is the new name that's been advertised, the Island of Citta. Now this isn't in the base game. There is no location called the Island of Citta or the Shattered Shore as far as I'm aware. But obviously it is another island and that goes along with the shore, i.e. a coastal brand new expansion maybe. And considering we've got DLC that's heavily based on that kind of area as well, I think I can pretty much go out on a limb and really say the next map expansion is going to have a lot of smaller islands possibly on it. Now this doesn't mean there's going to be ship combat and it doesn't mean there's going to be boats. From a recent QA, the devs did pretty much, they were very lukewarm to combat in water. They said they have no plans to add monsters to the water either. Someone asked during the question and answer session, and a big shout out for the recap, Multigun, who reposts pretty much everything in the stream. I did give you guys a little bit of a heads up of this stuff when I covered it myself a few days ago, but this is a much better recap because it gives you quick, brief information. But yeah, anyway, in it he says that basically they're not going to be adding monsters to water. It'd be a nightmare for performance. And that combat, PvP combat, might not be a thing. So I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a world filled with lots of water that you'll be fighting on. It just might be lots of little islands that you can literally just swim across like you normally do. It's a bit of a shame. I feel like, you know, if you're going to have something quite water-based, then surely it should have something along the lines of a boat or ship that you can use, but we don't know. It could come. It could be just them holding their cards close to their chest. It's all speculation, guys. Now it's also worth pointing out that Conan has been a pirate for quite a big considerable number of years. Now I think the original author, Robert E. Howard, maybe didn't expand on that as much as some people might think, but there's definitely a tale. He's got connections with pirates, and then the expanded universe that other writers afterwards and comics afterwards added a lot more stuff to do with pirates. So for a big chunk of his life, Conan has been a pirate, and I think that's going to be at loggerheads with a lot of people think. You know, people look at Conan Exiles, maybe the original movies, I see a lot of desert and sand and stuff, and even though Conan Exiles isn't canon, it's not even set anywhere in that real universe, it's kind of segregated but just borrowing a lot of these same ideas and locations and names. I still think that lots of people associate Conan with desert, so having a watery environment, having lots of islands, the setting, that could be really cool and interesting. It's just a shame it might not have boats and ships. I think the work needed to make craft boats and ships that players would be able to get on and do, I think that's beyond what Conan has at the moment. The way that it was built on the engine, it was done pretty cheaply, it was done pretty quickly. That's fact. Developers have said that in past. They kind of put it together very quickly, and so the idea that they'll be able to really change the engine and add these things to it, it's why pets took so long to get them attainable, and why AI for thralls has taken so long, because it just really isn't in there in the original game. I could be wrong, and you know, correct me if I am, if you know anything about the game dev, but that's my undertaking, is that anything like that would considerably need to be done as a rewrite, and I just don't think they're going to do that for a DLC. I think that might be one day if they ever decide to make Conan Exiles 20 or whatever the hell it is. But yeah, boats, ships, stuff like that would be great, but at least having the pirate setting, lots of pirate stuff going alongside it, you know, there's not just the pirate on the ships, but maybe having some more armor and weapons and stuff like that, that could be pretty decent. And just everything with these locations kind of says they're going in that route so far. We've had the Shattered Shore and we've had SIPTAH. So that to me screams lots and lots of sea and lots of locations like that. And before any Conan nerds get really upset, I'm not that well versed in Conan Exiles, so forgive me if I said something wrong about the universe or the lore. You know, we're just going by general what most people might know. I will put that out there just in case I get anyone say, you don't know what you're talking about, man. Going through some of the lore of Conan Exiles, SIPTAH does seem to be some sort of sorcerer or a beast that a sorcerer conjures. It's in the Savage Sword of Conan the Barbarian and pretty much the Gem in the Tower story. Not written originally by the actual creator of Conan, but by people that took over the brand for the comics and stuff years later. There is a nameless island off the coast of Stygia where a mystical jewel guarded by SIPTAH, an evil sorcerer. So of course the Isle of SIPTAH is the Isle of the evil sorcerer. Maybe it's a boss, maybe it'll just be obviously a point of interest in a dungeon. But that's what we can maybe expect to see, and who knows, might be a dungeon boss. Inside SIPTAH's island or his dungeon, he has a winged demon. And of course, the biggest possibility of that is sorcery. One of the biggest things that never got put into the game. During early access, the corruption was promised that eventually, if you got too much corruption, it would actually give you debuffs and buffs. You'd be able to do certain things, but it would take away a little bit of your stamina, or it would take a little bit away of your health, so you basically wouldn't be as strong. And they were kind of leaning towards making almost classes out with it. So if you used a lot of sorcery and magic items, you'd be a little bit weaker compared to other players. In the end though, it was just annoying debuff that took place in far too many areas, and there was no reward. It just ended up making sure that people avoided going to them points of interest, or they did and they just spammed the hell out of anything that would get rid of the corruption pretty quickly. Honestly, it's not my job to upset really hardcore Conan Exiles fans, but I'll say this now. I think sorcery's pretty much covered though. We've had the necromancer stuff where you can raise your armies of your skeletons, your wights, and some of the other creatures, the undead creatures, and that to me is a big part of necromancy. And that was really what was promised, I think, during early access. It wasn't so much just sorcery, it was necromancy. That was the big thing that I think I remember Joel Bylos talking about. We've got orbs that kind of do status effects, and that's pretty much magic. So other than people shooting at beams of fire from their hands, I don't know what people want. But confirmed, paid map expansion. Their recent quarterly or yearly relevant financials they've just did confirms that they have still got it coming out, and it's coming out in the second half of the year, so that's July onwards. I do originally believe they had planned to come and bring this out a little bit sooner, as when they first spoke about this to CEOs, they kind of mentioned the first half of the year. But obviously with COVID-19, it looks like a lot of stuff has been pushed back. Or they were referencing the actual Argos DLC and not the actual expansion. It's hard to tell with these CEOs. They obviously clearly leak stuff or talk about stuff that maybe the devs didn't really want spoken about. But with the Isle of SIPTAH and the Shattered Shore both being brand new points of interest, both being teased, and this isn't unintentional, I did send an email to the community team for Funcom and gave them just some tips I thought they could do with. Conan's a great game and it's always had a decent little following. On Steam it's still got fantastic numbers now. And PlayStation 4 is where it really took off last year when they made it part of the free plus games. Since then it's maintained a good amount of players, but they could still do with bringing new players in. Funcom have been very focused on bringing out this regular paid DLC and these season passes, and it pleases the core audience of Conan. But always when you take a look at some of the official servers, a lot of them are dead. There definitely needs to be a mix up, and the devs or the CEOs at least have said current map is just a little bit too small. It is like, you know, no secret that they need to do something about that. And that's what led me to digging deeper into finding out they were bringing out a paid expansion. If they offer this new expansion and you get the free base game along with it, that's something I hadn't really thought about, but that's what a lot of other games in the past have done, like Destiny. They give you the free base game, Destiny 2, and then you're just literally paying for the expansion. That could be something they do with this new expansion map. Again, all just me theorising here, guys, but I can only judge what other games do and how Funcom have acted in the past, and I think that would include get a lot more people into Conan Exiles on the Xbox and the PC platforms, although PC have had a lot of sales and stuff like that, and you know, I think it's going to probably be made available on the Epic Games Store in the future probably as well. So yeah, Conan Exiles is also actually going as part of the streaming service for Xbox and the Xbox Cloud as well. That's something I found out today, that they are going to be part of that service. You'll be able to play Conan Exiles on your mobile if you stream it from your Xbox or the actual cloud itself. And before I get labelled a shill for Funcom, I will just put this little disclaimer. I do see a few comments now and then talking about what Funcom used to be like and what their businesses were like in terms of their games for the last few years. Age of Conan is like 12 years old. They've recently just put out a brand new fresh update for this game. I mean, I don't know how many thousands of people still play it, if that at all, but it's a new Onslaught mode and it's all free content. It's just gone out for this MMO. And this was what they were making before Conan Exiles. But there is a perception sometimes that I see from comments saying that they're good at putting out these DLCs, but never really fixing and improving some of the core issues. And we've noticed that with Exiles as well. It's still taken far too long to get the purge correct and fixed. Way longer than 8 months since we've had avatars not working. It must be coming up for a year now. So these kind of issues need to be addressed. And a lot of that stuff was sort of addressed in a live stream, but it still felt a bit like, yeah, it's happening, with no real decent dates or timelines. Now I'm being a bit devil's advocate, one thing saying that Conan need to improve, but also saying they're doing a better job than some other developers, and it's just true. They are a bit of a mixed bag. They do things certainly much better than some game devs, but they also still need to catch up a little bit. It's just the way it is. You sell DLC, you keep improving your game for the rest of it for free. That for me is the bottom line. If you're not improving the game enough or doing stuff for it, don't sell DLC. Anywho, went off on a bit of a tangent there, but yeah, I just want Funcom to start making sure that alongside the flashy DLC they're selling, we are really getting meaty, chunky updates. Now, I mentioned this in my last video. I spoke about some of the concerns there, and yeah, it's just a bit of a mixed bag, this one, talking about the Sorcery. So let me know, what would we be getting if Sorcery does come to the game? What if Funcom makes Sorcery part of the expansion? Would they make it free for everyone, but maybe the expansion has different weapons, different staffs, different ways to use the magic, but it's still going to be available for everyone? That's what I kind of feel was the most positive thing if they did do Sorcery and brought it in. It would create an absolute shitstorm if they decide that Sorcery is only available on the expansion map and it's not going to be part of the core experience, because they did speak about that and they promised that early access stuff would always come for free. So yeah, I can imagine that. They could just bring out Sorcery for everyone, but maybe you get special gauntlets and stuff like that if you buy the expansion, or you can craft and make different weapons on that brand new map. If you guys see any more advertisements for points of interest coming up across Conan, pay more attention on Facebook and Instagram, and give me a little follow and show me on Twitter or in Discord. I'll be back with more information. Obviously this Thursday I'll probably be going live and doing either a showcase or giving you an update that the updates for Xbox, PlayStation and PC are live and the followers update 2 is ready to go. Until then, I'll see you later.